Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to our 10th anniversary of the Blue Star program. I've had the pleasure of meeting several World War II veterans, so this is a very special day for them. And I will turn the microphone over to Mr. Bob Marston. He'll be the MC for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Just a gentle reminder that 70 years ago today, our allies stormed the beaches of Normandy, that are known as D-Day, the longest day. And in recognition of that event, I'd like to have our flag brought forward at this time by Boy Scout Troop number 161. Gentlemen.
Honor guard, attention! Assembly, attention! Honor guard, forward, march! Halt! Right, face! Advance! Halt! Toss the flag of the United States of America. All those in uniform and veterans, salute. All those not in uniform, place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Honor guard, about, face, reform. Left, face, retreat. Halt! Honor guard, dismissed! Assembly at ease!
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. At this time, Pastor Jim Walden, the invocation, please.
Welcome to the Blue Star Banner Bank. We're so grateful to have you here at First Baptist. If there's anything we can do for you, just let us know. Would you bow with me as we pray over this evening? Father, on this special night, we are so honored to be here with these family, friends of those that faithfully serve our country. God, you have richly blessed America. We cannot thank you enough. And I ask that you would not take your hand off of us even for a moment, and that we in great gratitude would celebrate tonight what you have done over the years and for those who are serving right now. Thank you for every family member and each person who's here who matters so much to you. As we get to enjoy this meal and this time in music, I ask you to make it obvious that you're with us and you continue to bless and protect those who are serving us. In Jesus' wonderful name, we all say, Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jim. This time it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Matt Myers and the Brighter Side Singers from Temple City High School. Thank you.
Would you please stand for the singing of our national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good evening. We're going to do just 3 songs, a short program for you this evening, and all 3 of these songs we had the opportunity to present in Washington, D.C. on our East Coast tour for the America Sings benefit for homeless children. We also had a chance to sing in front of the White House and a number of other places. But this first selection is called The Spirit of America and was featured as the opening number for the America Sings Festival, followed by our a cappella arrangement of God Bless America, and we will conclude with the theme song of the benefit for homeless children, America Sings. This is Spirit of America.
This great country, this great land, all together now we stand, proud and strong, straight and tall, Americans one and all. Every dreamer neath the sun shares one hope for everyone. All live free, great and small, Americans one and all. The spirit of America, the spirit of America, the spirit of America is alive in me. The spirit of America, the spirit of America, the spirit of America, America is alive in me. Woo! Yeah! This great country, this great land, all together now we stand, proud and strong, straight and tall, Americans one and all. Every dream beneath the sun shares one hope for everyone. All is free, great and small, Americans one and all is alive in me. The spirit of America is alive in me. The spirit of America is alive in me. The spirit of America, America is alive in me. America, America, America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountain, to the prairie, to the ocean's wide wave foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountain, to the prairie, to the ocean's wide wave foam.
like to close with America Sings. That features our wonderful district accompanist, Mr. John Howie on the keyboard, and our soloists, Billy McGavin, Kitty Teresta, Mackenzie Byers, and Christian Black.
Gather here together to sing in harmony. There's no one who I'd rather have standing here with me.
So put your hands together and raise them to the sky. We can make a difference, at least I know we'll try. America sings. From the shore of the Pacific to the rugged coast of Maine, the roar is just terrific aboard our freedom train.
We come because we're caring, we gather because we're free, with love and hope for sharing, from sea to shining sea.
America sings. America sings from the mighty Mississippi. America hears the children call. America lives in the hearts of all the people. America, one and for all. America sings.
America sings.
America cries.
America cries.
America hopes.
America hopes.
America tries. From the warmth of Arizona to a cold Dakota snow,
From the lakes of Minnesota to the Gulf of Mexico,
from the tundras of Alaska, warm messages we bring.
from the wonders of Nebraska, you will hear our voices ring.
America sings. America sings from the mighty Mississippi. America hears the children call. America lives in the hearts of all the people. America, one and for all. America sings.
America sings.
America cries.
America cries.
America hopes.
America hopes.
America tries. America sings from the mighty Mississippi. America hears the children call. America lives in the hearts of all the people. America, one and for all. America sings. America sings. America cries. America cries. America hopes. America hopes. America tries. And crowned by good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. America sings.
America sings.
America cries.
America cries.
America hopes.
America hopes.
America tries.
America tries.
America sings.
America sings.
America cries.
America cries.
America hopes.
America hopes.
America tries.
America tries.
America sings. America sings.
Thank you, Brighter Sides, Mr. Howie, Mr. Byers. God bless you all. What a great performance, Kim. Thank you. We really appreciate it. In that assault, we used 5,000 ships, 13,000 aircraft, and 9,000 were killed and wounded. And that all happened 70 years ago today. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, our guest speaker, Lieutenant Uriel Macias. His duties include the work for international services under NATO as the officer in charge of logistics and planning, moving materials from various points within the front lines on his final destination. While working with Pine Levels, he coordinated humanitarian aid across the country. When his superiors heard of his government background, Macias began working with the Interior Ministry to set up all infrastructure for support services in villages recaptured from the insurgents. Lieutenant Macias is former Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Azusa and currently serves on the City Council. At this time, it is my honor to introduce our guest speaker, Lieutenant Macias. Our guest speaker will be thank you.
Thank you very much to Bill and to the Blue Star Committee for putting on this great dinner, and to the cooks who cooked up the great hamburgers and hot dogs. Let's give a great round of applause. I was amazed when I got in here. I didn't realize that the turnout that we were going to have here. I just was amazed, and I think it's great. Being from the City of Azusa, I thought we had a great recognition program and a Blue Star program and a banner program, but let me tell you, Temple City knows how to do it. So I have as Bill said, my name is Uriel Macias. I am from the City of Azusa, born and raised there. I had the honor and privilege of, after I got out of college, to come back to my hometown and run for office. I was the city treasurer for one term for 4 years. My background is in finance, so I figured what more natural way to put my talents to good use for my city than to run for treasurer. And Mr. Kelly, who had been there almost 30 years, decided to retire, and I decided to run, and I got elected with 75% of the vote, and I was voting on public service. Not too long after 9/11, everybody was doing something to rally together, to figure out what they could do to help our country. And in certain times of need, it's amazing to see how much and how good and how well people come together to band together for a greater cause, and that's for the United States. In this case, what I did is right out of school, being the oldest of a single mother and 3 younger siblings, I never really got to go right to the military, which was my dream right out of high school. I had to put that on hold to help pay for the rent and the bills and help raise my younger brother and sister. So I worked hard, I did what I could, eventually I ran for office, but there was always something missing there. So I decided to enlist. And they said, well, why are you enlisting? Why don't you go in as an officer? I didn't feel I was worthy. So I said, I didn't feel I was ready to even enlist. So I went to the recruiting office, local recruiting office, started talking to them, and 2 weeks later, I was enlisted as an E3 right after 9/11, and I said, this is what I want to do. I always looked at all the different branches, but one that stood out to me personally was the Navy, just because of the people that I had talked to, the people that I knew, and the people that influenced me. So let's hear it for not only the Navy, but also for the Army, Marines, and Air Force, because it is one military. So I enlisted. So here I am enlisted, and I've got about close to 4 years now, at the time, as enlisted, right after 9/11. I did a couple of deployments, but they were to Central America. One was a humanitarian aid mission off the coast into Guatemala, and the other one was a counter-narcotics operations mission off the coast of Colombia. So those were great, but my desire was always to serve overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan. And eventually, time went by, and I put in a package to become an officer, and I got commissioned as an officer in 08, and I was very honored to have that. And eventually, not long after that, I got married and had a couple kids. And then I got the call. And I said, well, what is that? They said, you're going to Afghanistan for a year. So I said, wow. I said, it wasn't a total surprise, of course. You know, you just learn to expect these kind of things. We had done all kinds of other deployments here in the United States, in CONUS and OCONUS, but never to a combat zone, never to a war. So, first thing that went through my mind was, how am I going to tell my 6-month pregnant wife that I'm going to Afghanistan for a year? So that was the tough part. But I summoned up the courage and I told her about where I was going, and I think it hit her like a ton of bricks. But I think at the same time she also understood what the sacrifice needed to be done. She was always kind of understanding and knowing that something like this would happen for a longer period of time than the normal month, 2 months, 3 months that I had been gone before. In this case, a year. So I told her, and of course she gave me her immediate support. I decided I needed to tell my friends and my other family members and my work, because I did have a full-time job. Mind you, I'm in the reserves at this point. This is after a couple of years of active duty, but I'm in the reserves at this point. And I'm 42 years old, and I need to tell all these people, I need to make sure that everything's taken care of. I need to make sure that who's going to take care of the dog, that the poleman knows what to do, that the bills are paid, that my wife knows how to pay the bills. I need to make sure that we get a gardener now, because I was the gardener. I need to make sure that all these bases are covered because of the fact that I'm not going to be around. And the thought does go through your mind, I might not come back. So you tend to start to think of things differently, look at things differently. You start to realize that you need to make preparations. And one of the things that they do before they deploy you is also make sure that you get with the legal team to make out your will, go through the insurance purposes, to make sure that you have coverage, to make sure that you have medical for your family. All these things, they've really prepared you. It's a really, the military does a great process of making sure that not only the service member is covered, but that the family is covered, and that they're taken care of. They have ombudsmen that make sure that they check on the family, that make sure that the family is okay while you're gone. And if they need anything, they try to give these resources to make sure that they're taken care of. So I'm very grateful to the U.S. military and the Navy for having done that. So everything now, at this point, is arranged. And I am destined to be, this is not too long before Memorial Day last year. I'm destined to ship out not a day or two after Memorial Day, June 1st. So I get all my stuff together and get everything taken care of. And everybody's asking me, so at the time, throughout the process, so what boat, what ship are you going to be on in Afghanistan? You're in the Navy, right? I said, yeah. I said, well, what ocean? I didn't know Afghanistan had oceans. They don't. So why are you going to Afghanistan? You're in the Navy. And the answer was always, nowadays, it doesn't really matter what branch you're in. It's anytime, anywhere, any place. And that's whether you're in Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard. That you could be deployed anywhere, anytime, any place, and you have to be ready at any time to get the call and make sure that you can deploy, whether it's to the South Pacific, to Alaska, to Japan, to the Middle East, to Central or South America, wherever the crisis might be. And when I was listening to the kids here sing earlier, one of the lines in the song was, America tries. America does try. America has tried all throughout history. There's a picture back there of the gentleman, a World War II veteran, in the picture of the table on the back. America has a long history of rising to the occasion. trying to make the world better, actually making the world better, making sure that things don't get to a bigger escalated to a bigger scale. And America does try. Because if we stop trying, if we stop making sure that we have these young men and women ready to go to defend us and do the things that others aren't willing to do, if we don't go to the back door of the Taliban, if we don't go to the back door of the Haqqani network, of these dictators, of these warlords, if we don't do it on their turf, on their land, guess where the problem comes? It comes to our back door, as evidenced by 9/11. So we try to take care of these problems overseas. We try to nip these things in the bud. And whether you're on the left side, the right side, front side, the back side, whatever it may be, when it comes to our troops, we always stand behind them, no matter where you stand politically. And one of the things we always have to remember is when we have troops overseas, never forget that they're over there fighting for us. The sacrifices, the tremendous sacrifices that they put forward to do so, whether you're young, middle-aged, or even a seasoned veteran. It takes a tremendous, tremendous amount of sacrifice to be over there. You give up so much. I can't tell you how many times I was over there in Afghanistan. I was talking here with the young Marine here, and we were discussing about where we've been. And he asked me where I was in. And originally I was scheduled to go to Kandahar. I was going to be in there with the Marines and the Army in the Kandahar, the southern Afghanistan region, which is typically your desert, very hot, very extremely hot, very dry, sandy, the caravans, the camels, your typical thing that you see on TV. I was there 3 months. I will never, ever, once again, complain about how hot it is in Southern California. When I got there in June, it was 115 degrees in the shade. In the shade. We had probably 70, 80 pounds of gear on us with your flak jacket and everything else that they put on you. We had just flown in the middle of the night on a C-17. You know, normal planes kind of land at an angle very easily slide into that runway. Well, over there, in the middle of the night, they just come down, swoop down straight into the middle of the night, all lights off, engines off, and they just kind of glide in. And it's pretty surreal because of the fact that, you know, they have RPGs, they have small arms fire, they have mortars, they have all these things that they've lost aircraft and personnel to. So it really hits home when you fly into Kandahar. All of a sudden, the doors open, and you feel this 115-degree heat on you, and it's only like 6, 7 in the morning. Then you're there 2, 3 months. You get constant mortar attacks. You go outside the wire, and you're in a caravan, and a couple times in our convoy, I should say, in our convoy, we had twice. The new method now for these insurgents is to load up a vehicle with explosives. They put them in the trunk. They connect the tripwire to the front bumper of that vehicle, and they're suicide bombers. They will insert themselves into a convoy, a military convoy, that they see going down these roads, the dirt roads, the city streets, the town streets, the villages. And what they will do is when they feel that they have the convoy in the most vulnerable position, they will bump up really fast up against the vehicle in front of them. And it will blow themselves up and the 2 or 3 vehicles around them up. We lost 2 of our unit members to such attacks. We lost 1 other member to a small arms fire when we were out on patrol in the hills above Kabul. And this was right around the holiday season. So I can't tell you how surreal it is to be in a situation like that, and how, again, the sacrifices these men and women put forth when they're out doing what they're doing. I was in Kandahar, then I was sent out to Bagram. They said, we need somebody to administer. They found out about my background in logistics and finance. So then they sent me to Bagram, the northern part of the country, the mountainous part of the country that actually has some greenery and some trees. And in the wintertime, they even get snow because they're somewhere about 10 to 12,000 foot elevation level. So I'm over there and I'm all of a sudden put in charge of humanitarian aid throughout the country, running the only humanitarian aid yard program station out of Bagram Airfield. And my job is to make sure that goods and services get distributed at that point to the villages that where the insurgents have taken over, but we've gone in there with the Marines and the Army and taken back these villages and get them the food, the basic necessities that they need to get through the winter, through the summer. And then all of a sudden the Seabees come in and start building in wells. The Army starts building a few schools, a few ports, a few offices, making sure that there's control, local government control for the Afghani people. And these people, I can't tell you how many times, every time that they saw those vehicles with the U.S. flag on the side of that vehicle, how they breathed a sigh of relief. Mind you, we were there under the NATO flag with NATO troops. Probably 50-some countries were represented there currently still in Afghanistan. And every country has their flag, their own uniform, and their flag on their vehicles. And they also have the NATO flag. But when the Afghan people, when these people, villagers, saw that the United States Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force were coming in there and they had those flags on those vehicles and they saw those colors on the uniforms, they were so happy because they knew the U.S. meant business, they were there to stay, they were there to help them. And they were so grateful. These people are so grateful. Afghanistan is one of the poorest countries in the world. One of the lowest literacy rates in the world. Picture a country where just a few years ago, little girls were not allowed to go to school. If they attempted to go to school, they'd be shot, they'd be killed. They'd be whipped in public, mutilated, as evidenced by the little girl, Malala, in Pakistan. All those insurgents left Afghanistan and went to Pakistan, just across the border. But this is what they were doing to little girls. Women still can't go outside unescorted by a male companion. And if they do go out, they have to go out in full garb in their burqas. Picture a place where just a few years ago, before the military showed up there and reinstated control and took the country away from the Taliban, soccer stadiums, high school soccer stadiums, were used for public beheadings. People that actually questioned the Taliban, people that didn't let their beards grow, people that went out unescorted, people that supposedly women that left their husbands because their husband was beating them or something like that. They were stoned to death. It's still going on. Not as much, but it's still going on. But I'm proud to say that now, because of the fact that the U.S. made sacrifices, U.S. men and women shed their blood, the U.S. made that part of the world, which will have far-reaching positive consequences and far-reaching stabilization for that region and the world as a whole. Because of the military, because of the U.S., because of your sons and daughters, your husbands and wives, your mothers and fathers, because they sacrificed, that part of the country now just had their free election early part of May. Free election that they haven't had in probably at least 30 years. They now have women in their Senate and in their Congress. Little girls now are able to go to school. Women are starting to go out unescorted. But things are changing. Things are changing for the better. The concern is, are they going to continue to get better or worse or stay the same after we leave? Who knows? Who knows what that will be? But I do know that from what I saw when I was there, working not only in Kandahar with the Pashtun people, working in Bagram with the different tribes in Bagram, and then working down in Kabul, working with the 4-star commands, not only on the U.S. side, but the European side, and with the Afghans. What we did there, and what we're continuing to do there, will have great positive influences for the people of that region, for us, for everybody in the world. And it is just an amazing experience that I cannot begin to tell you that has changed me for the better, has made me appreciate life, appreciate people. And the whole time I was over there were organizations like your organization that sent cards, sent care packages, sent emails, had recognition banner programs like the City of Temple City. I can't tell you how big a thing that is for morale when you're over there in the middle of nowhere where you feel that nobody cares. Because you don't see it, you don't hear it, you don't see it. All you hear is the rotors from the helos, the roar from the fixed air wing coming in, the mortar attacks at night, the small arms fire where they're on convoys. I mean, the things you see down there. I saw when I was in Kabul, one of the things that stand out to me, and still to this day that I still have thoughts about, was when I was working in the humanitarian aid program. One of our jobs was to make sure that we took these people, these kids that were caught in crossfires, in mortar attacks, in small arms fires, in IED explosions. We took them to the military hospital there in Kabul. And I'll always remember this little kid. There were several of them. Some of them would come in with arms blown off, their little legs blown off. But I remember every single one of them, but I always remember the one little boy that had half of his face blown off. And I remember I got to make sure that he came off of that Hummer, and we took him straight into the emergency room. And the little boy didn't make it. I found out after the fact he didn't make it, but there were some that did make it. You would see them just a couple, 2-3 weeks later, being pushed around by the nurses in the hospital grounds in their wheelchair, and they were happy as could be. But you could still see the wounds, you could still see the scars, you could see that the limbs weren't there, and it just broke my heart because 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks before I deployed, my little son Andrew was born, and it just really hit close to home seeing those kind of things. And it just makes you realize how important it is for us to be in certain situations like that, because, again, if we don't take care of it over there, the problem will come to our back door. So I just want to say that I'm very proud and honored to be here. Thank you to Sharonville, the whole Blue Star Committee, for having invited me. When I got back, I was well received, as compared to the gentleman I was speaking to earlier who was in the Vietnam era. And it is because of programs and people like you that really keep the morale, really keep the respect of the people and the men and women in uniform, that keep them going, keep them motivated, keep the morale up. It is because of events like this. So keep up the good work, keep up the recognition, keep up the good fight, and remember, as my mom taught us, my mom was a single mother, but she was amazing. Show us that God, country, community. Temple City certainly exemplifies that. And I commend you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Have a good evening.
Does anyone have any questions that you'd like to ask? He's sitting to answer some questions. Do we have any questions that anyone would like to ask Lieutenant?
Yeah, these are new. These are Navy fatigues.
A lot of people have been asking me about my fatigues. And one of the reasons I wore these fatigues is because these are relatively new fatigues. They're about 2-3 years old, maybe a little bit more. But these are the fatigues that, if those who were in the Navy remember the dungarees, the denim pants and the denim blue shirts. These have replaced those. One of the reasons I wore these tonight was because right after this, I have to go down to San Diego for Navy training. And I'm proud to say, I forgot to mention this earlier, my oldest son took our second daughter to LAX just now, right before we started eating. They couldn't stay because she just got accepted as a summer cadet to the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis.
it really makes me proud because I know that kids reflect their parents, and in this case, I owe all that not only to their good spirit and their goodwill, but to my wife, who has pushed these kids and raised these kids, and who did the job of two people while I was gone for the year I was gone. So I want to say thank you to my wife for having. My wife, Angela, will you stand up, please? My wife, Angela. My little daughter, Cecilia, and my little boy, Andrew, who was born 2.5 weeks right before I deployed. I can't tell you how funny it was when I came back, and he was just staring at me for 2 weeks straight. He just kind of would stare at me, wondering who the heck was this guy that just came into our house. But I'm honored to be here. I will greatly and kindly answer any questions if you guys have them. If you guys have questions about the current situation overseas in Afghanistan, in the military, and what the challenges that your sons, daughters, husbands, wives might be facing, anything like that, I'm happy to answer any questions if you got it. Right here. Right here. We'll try to take it easy on you on the football game next time. The current state of the we were talking here with Harry here, we're sitting at that table, and the current state of the military is that the military, just like everybody else nowadays, has to do more with less. They are really, really pushing things, and they're really, really cutting back on the budget. This administration has given the military the leanest budget in years, so all of the secretaries, all of the chiefs of staff have really had to tighten their belts, and they're going to have to really do more with less. So more than ever now, the military needs your support, your help, and these programs of recognition that continue. Because somebody told me that Temple City, the city, wanted to start taking down those banners, the Blue Star banners that they have here in the downtown area. And I want to tell you, I don't know if there's any city council members from the city of Temple City, but I can speak for my city, for the city of Azusa. Those banners will knock them down until every last guy from Afghanistan. We have a Veterans Memorial Committee that honors and sets up events and dinners very much like this one, and has the Memorial Day festivities, and we put up banners and whatnot. And I just want to, they're in agreement with me, and I want to encourage you guys to make sure to make your voices heard, that this is one of the basic, the smallest things we can do is to keep those banners flying high for those military members until every single last one comes home and is able to come home to their family. So make sure that you guys make your voices heard and call your city council members and let them know. So if there are no other questions, I don't see any hands. If there are no other questions, there is a question back there. Sharon has a question. Oh, the question is, what is the C-130? Yes, the way I was deployed was from San Diego. We went commercial to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Did some refresher combat training there for a month. From there, they put us on a C-130 to Maine. From Maine to Germany. From Germany to straight to Kazakhstan. From Kazakhstan to Afghanistan. So it took us about a good week and a half transitioning from here to there. By the time we got all our gear issued, all of our weapons, all the weapons that had to go with us, and all of our gear. So it is just it's a long process that they really take the time to make sure that you're fully trained, well prepared, and you have all your gear. And yeah, we went on a C-130 that carries about I can't remember what the stats are on that, but it carries about a good 40 to 50 personnel, and you're bunched in there like like sardines. And you're in there with the equipment, and guess what? They take better care of the equipment. They want to make sure that nothing happens to the equipment, because the equipment is very expensive. And they tell you to make sure that you're strapped in, make sure you shut up, sit down, and get strapped in. And don't, and whatever happens, don't freak out because you're strapped in and nice and tight. It's probably well over 100 degrees in there, and you're tied in there, and it's just a very surreal experience. Yes, ma'am. The first month that you're there, you pretty much don't. The question was, how do you eat and sleep when you get there? Aren't you nervous? Absolutely. You're scared to death. The first day I was there, right about noon, when they called the tents were open for chow in Kandahar, we had two volleys, two mortar rounds come in straight in that probably hit about 300 yards from the chow hall, which is a tent, probably about half the size of this hall here. And of course, you have the rotors, you have the airfield there. Kandahar has what they call the food pond. There are no sewers, and there's no infrastructure in Afghanistan. So they have this huge, giant lake where all these raw sewage goes into this lake, and they call it the food pond. And let me tell you, in the summertime, when that thing is blowing your way, and you're in your tent in the middle of the night, you don't sleep. And the running joke there was, make sure you don't get a lakeside window, lakeside view, and that place. But the first couple of weeks you don't. One of the things you can't go anywhere without your rifle, your assault rifle, your weapon, your gear, your flak jacket, your helmet. You share a latrine with probably 40 or 50 other members of the military, and the latrine is probably about 150 yards outside that way. So you guys, in the middle of the night, if you drank too much water throughout the day, which you have to because you'll have to hydrate, in the middle of the night you got to go to the bathroom. You got to strap on all your gear, all your equipment, all your ammunition, your boots, everything. And all of a sudden, this happened to me, you're in the latrine, and you hear those sirens go off, and you're supposed to strap on all your gear, put on everything, and run for the bunkers to make sure that those mortars, if they hit anywhere near you, the shrapnel and any debris won't kill you. Because we lost, I can't tell you how many men and women we've lost that way. So the first time that happens, you're scared to death. You're running with whatever you can carry. And everybody's running for these bunkers, these cement bunkers that are all over the place, all over the villages, all over the base, wherever they can put them. After a while, you get used to it. Quite honestly, you get shell shocked. You get used to it. After a while, me personally, I figured I'm going to do everything I was trained to do. I'm going to put on all my gear. I'm going to do whatever I need to do, and I'm going to rely on the guy behind me to watch my back. And if it's my turn, it's my turn, because you can't worry about that. You can't dwell on that. You don't. You have to do what you're supposed to do and make sure that you stay focused. But yeah, the first couple of weeks you don't sleep. Yeah. Yes, sir.
When you were there, were you in with the other three branches of the military, and was there any good-hearted rivalry between the other branches?
The question was, when I was there, was I amongst all the other 4 branches, and was there any good-hearted rivalry within the branches? Absolutely. I was there was every single branch of the military represented there in Afghanistan. And I was there with the 3rd Corps out of Fort Hood. I was under General Mark Milley, who's the commanding officer right now at Fort Hood, Texas. And I was, for the time I was in Kandahar, I served with the Army and the Marines. I served with the Air Force. I served with NATO troops. I was, for a short time, I was assigned to an Australian general. Then I was assigned to a Austrian colonel, and then an Italian general. So you work, it's an amazing experience. Kabul, where the capital of the country is where pretty much all of the NATO troops are stationed. But it is the British, the Germans, and the Australians to an extent, but 80% of it is U.S. that are all on the outskirts of the country, in the middle of nowhere, that are doing what we call the real dirty work, that are out in the forward operating bases that might be as small as 100 people, 100 personnel, and those were the ones that were vulnerable to attack through down in Sangin, up in Mazar Sharif, on the west in Herat, where it bordered with Iran. That's where most of the people that the U.S. had stationed people that the other countries didn't want to commit to because they knew they couldn't take control back in their country. Remember, this is America's longest war in Afghanistan. We're going on 13, almost 14 years of war. These other countries don't have the will to fight anymore. A lot of them do, but it's the U.S. that's carried the torch. So, yeah, we had to have good-hearted rivalries. We had to do runs. We had to, when we could find some time at night with red lights, we were out on patrol. We played this game that I was going to tell my wife, but we would bet wedding rings that we would keep the wedding rings off if we would win the race or that. There was different things we would do so that they wouldn't get them back until they had to earn them back when they could beat somebody in a race, in a car game, little things like that. There was always, of course, the good-hearted rivalry of when we were out on target practice, qualifying. We would always give each other a hard time and so forth. And I'm proud to say that I represented the Navy well, and I got expert in marksman, expert in sharpshooter on the rifle and pistol. So there was always a lot of fun that we tried to interject into the short periods of time that we had. Because these guys are working 12, 13, 14-hour days. They really don't have a lot of time to have fun. But when they did, on Sundays we did get a little bit of time to go to the chapel. There was a tent. There was a small tent that the chaplains, whichever service you wanted to attend, they would give you a half day to go make sure that you attended service, and that was always important. I tried to take advantage of that as much as I could. So, yeah, definitely, we made do with what we had and try to have a little bit of fun along the way. Any other questions? No? Okay, then thank you very much. I want to personally thank all of the veterans here tonight, past, present, and future, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all of the people from the Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan, past, present, and future. My hat is out to you, and I salute each and every one of you. So thank you. I will have to excuse myself a little early because I am going to have to drive down to San Diego right now. But again, thank you for having me here. It was an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's all stand up and give another hand. That's outstanding.